What if a passport could change your destiny forever? Imagine holding a small piece of paper that opens doors to 193 countries without the need for a visa or extensive paperwork. A passport so powerful it's more than just a travel document. It's a symbol of global trust and diplomatic influence. But here is the twist. One country, tucked between Europe and Asia, has gone even further. Georgia, a small nation with a turbulent history, has not only granted South Koreans unrestricted access, but they've also extended a special one-year stay, an offer so rare, it begs the question, why? Why has Georgia chosen South Korea? And what does this surprising partnership mean for global power dynamics? South Korea's passport is now one of the most powerful in the world. But how did it get here? In the early 1982s, South Koreans had to ask for government permission to travel abroad. The idea of freely visiting foreign countries seemed like a distant dream. But within just a few decades, South Korea transformed its international standing. By the 1988 Seoul Olympics, the country opened the doors to its citizens, marking the beginning of a new era of travel freedom. Today, South Korea ranks second globally in passport strength, closely trailing Singapore. With it, South Koreans can visit 193 countries without a visa, making it a true global gateway. But how did this happen so quickly? Experts often cite South Korea's balanced foreign diplomacy and the unique character of its citizens. The nation managed to maintain good relations with both Western and Eastern powers, positioning itself as a neutral force in the global arena. While other countries may only offer short-term visits to foreigners, Georgia, situated on the crossroads of Europe and Asia, has gone further. This small nation, with a population of just around 3.7 million, offers South Koreans something remarkable. One full year of visa-free stay. And that's not all. After the year ends, South Koreans can leave for a day, cross into a neighboring country like Armenia, and immediately renew their one-year visa as they re-enter Georgia. This is known as the visa run, a concept that is legally accepted in Georgia, allowing visitors to stay as long as they wish. Why does a country like Georgia extend such extraordinary privileges to South Koreans? This isn't a mere formality. It's a strategic move. Georgia, situated between the geopolitical forces of Russia and Turkey, faces constant pressure and instability. In a region where survival depends on smart alliances, Georgia has chosen South Korea as a model. What could a small country like Georgia possibly learn from South Korea? The answer lies not just in economics or diplomacy, but in shared history. South Korea, once a war-torn country, rebuilt itself into a prosperous nation in just one generation. Its rapid growth, from devastation to global prominence, mirrors Georgia's own challenges, surviving as a small country in the shadow of larger powers. South Korea's resilience and success in balancing military strength and diplomatic savvy are lessons that Georgia, battling its own territorial conflicts with Russia, desperately needs. Georgia's desire to learn from South Korea is not just about following economic or political strategies, it's about finding hope in a similar struggle for survival. Georgia's leaders see in South Korea the potential to build a future where they are no longer caught between the geopolitical conflicts of larger nations, but stand firm as an independent, respected partner on the global stage. So, why South Korea? It's not just about the economy or military technology. It's the shared experience of overcoming adversity, the understanding of surviving amidst larger forces, and the hope that through strategic partnerships, small nations can thrive. Georgia's geographical location might seem like a blessing at first glance, sitting at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, but in reality, it is a curse that has placed the nation at the mercy of larger powers. To understand why Georgia has turned to South Korea, it's essential to grasp the complexity of the country's position. Surrounded by Russia to the north, Armenia, Turkey, and Azerbaijan to the south, and the vast Caucasus Mountains creating a natural barrier, Georgia's landscape is both a fortress and a trap. Over the centuries, Georgia's lands have been contested by empires, seeking to control this strategic point of entry between two continents. From the ancient Persian Empire to the Ottoman Empire, and later the Soviet Union, Georgia's identity has been shaped by external forces. For many Georgians, the pain of domination by foreign powers is still fresh. It was only in 1991, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, that Georgia finally gained its independence. But independence came at a high price. Russia, a constant neighbor and adversary, has seized control of significant parts of Georgian territory, including the breakaway regions of South Ossetia and Abkhazia. These territories remain under Russian influence, despite the international community largely rejecting Russia's claim. In 2008, Georgia fought a brief but devastating war with Russia over these territories. The war ended with a ceasefire. But Georgia lost not only land, but also confidence in its ability to stand alone against such a powerful neighbor. The scars of that conflict are still visible today, and the Georgian people remember the Russian tanks that rolled through their capital Tbilisi. This brutal reminder of Russia's dominance has left a lingering fear that the next time, it might not be a ceasefire, but a full-scale invasion. Yet, despite its challenges, Georgia is not backing down. The country is working tirelessly to strengthen its military and diplomatic ties with the West, particularly through its aspirations to join NATO and the European Union. But Georgia faces a dilemma. While the desire to join these Western institutions is strong, Russia's military presence in the region makes it difficult for Europe to offer Georgia full membership. In a world where global alliances are often shaped by power dynamics, Georgia is left in limbo, caught between the West's desires for expansion and Russia's willingness to exert its influence. So, what does this mean for Georgia's future? For a country in such a precarious position, finding a reliable partner is critical. That's where South Korea comes in. South Korea has managed to carve out a successful path by navigating difficult relationships with both North Korea and the global superpowers. Its ability to balance military strengths with economic development, all while maintaining diplomatic neutrality, makes it an ideal partner for Georgia. Could South Korea's model provide a blueprint for Georgia's survival in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape? Could the lessons from South Korea's rise from the ashes of war offer Georgia hope for a brighter, more secure future? As Georgia watches the unfolding power dynamics between Russia and the West, one thing is certain: South Korea's resilience is something that resonates deeply with a nation struggling to assert its independence and sovereignty in the face of overwhelming odds. What if the key to a country's prosperity and survival in a highly competitive world lies in its ability to create exceptional bonds with others? Georgia, small yet strategically located between Asia and Europe, has done just that. The country's visa policy towards South Koreans is not only generous but also one of the most unique offers on the global stage. It's a policy so extraordinary that it defies conventional diplomatic thinking. In a world where most nations limit the stay of foreign nationals, Georgia's policy stands out. Unlike many countries that offer visa-free travel for just 30 or 90 days, Georgia allows South Koreans to stay for an entire year. And here is the catch. Once that year expires, all they have to do is leave the country, travel a short distance to a neighboring country like Armenia, and return to start another year of visa-free residence. This practice, known as the visa run, is officially sanctioned in Georgia. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. For Georgia, creating an environment that welcomes foreigners, particularly from a globally respected nation like South Korea, is seen as a critical step in ensuring long-term growth. But this visa policy is not just about convenience for South Koreans. It's also about Georgia's own future. By offering such an open policy, Georgia is signaling to the world that it values South Korea as a key partner. It is looking to South Korea not only for economic cooperation but also as a model for growth. South Korea's rapid economic rise, despite its smaller size and challenging geopolitical environment, serves as a beacon of hope for Georgia. The relationship between these two countries is about more than just business. It's about creating a mutual pathway to survival and prosperity. This open visa policy also serves as an invitation for South Koreans to come and explore the vast opportunities Georgia has to offer. From the country's burgeoning tech industry to its growing tourism sector, Georgia is eager to tap into South Korea's expertise and innovation. And with South Korea's strong business acumen, Georgia is positioning itself as a hub for entrepreneurship, offering a low-cost, high-reward environment for anyone looking to invest or establish a business. Georgia's visa policies are not just a gesture of goodwill. They are a calculated move designed to attract talent, investment, and international recognition. The fact that South Koreans are able to live, work, and do business in Georgia without facing bureaucratic barriers is a sign of the growing respect and strategic importance of this partnership. For South Koreans, this is a golden opportunity. A visa-free stay, the ability to set up businesses, and access to an untapped market on the edge of Europe and Asia. These are benefits few nations offer. And for Georgia, This policy helps forge deeper ties with one of the world's most dynamic economies, creating a path for future growth and development. Could this visa policy be the key to Georgia's survival in an increasingly competitive world? Could it serve as a model for other countries seeking to attract global talent while strengthening their own international standing? Only time will tell. But what's clear is that Georgia's decision to embrace South Korea is not just a diplomatic move. It's a lifeline for the country's future. The relationship between South Korea and Georgia goes beyond diplomacy. It's built on mutual respect, shared experiences, and a vision for a prosperous future. Georgia, once a former Soviet republic, found itself in a position where it needed to learn from others who had managed to rise from adversity. South Korea, with its rapid transformation from a war-torn nation to a global powerhouse, became the perfect model. But the bond between these two countries is not merely based on admiration. It runs deeper, rooted in a shared history of overcoming oppression and striving for independence. Georgia's painful history under Russian control resonates deeply with South Korea's past under Japanese occupation. Both nations have suffered under foreign domination, and their struggles have shaped their national identities. When South Korea extended a gesture of goodwill to Georgia by changing the country's name from the Russian-influenced Georgia to the Georgia that the country had requested, it wasn't just a diplomatic formality. It was a profound statement of solidarity. South Koreans, understanding the deep pain of being forced to adopt foreign names during their own colonial past, were quick to recognize Georgia's need for independence, especially when it came to something as symbolic as the country's name. This act of respect was met with gratitude by the Georgian people, who saw in South Korea not just a partner, but a friend who understood their struggles. In a world where many countries turn a blind eye to the suffering of smaller nations, South Korea's response was a beacon of empathy and support. For Georgia, this was not just an external acknowledgement, it was a validation of their identity and their right to be heard on the global stage. But the relationship goes beyond historical empathy. South Korea's rise from the ashes of war to become one of the world's top economies is a tale that resonates deeply with Georgians who are seeking their own path to growth and security. South Korea's success wasn't handed to them on a silver platter. It was the result of decades of hard work, innovation, and strategic alliances. Georgia sees this, and it understands that the road to a stronger future isn't just about economic policies, it's about forming the right alliances. For Georgia, South Korea offers more than just a strong passport or economic influence. It offers a model for survival. The Korean people, who have thrived in a region surrounded by powerful neighbors, know how to navigate the treacherous waters of geopolitics. In many ways, South Korea's survival strategy is exactly what Georgia needs. A balanced foreign policy that avoids becoming entangled in the conflicts of larger powers. By fostering relationships with both East and West, South Korea has proven that it is possible to maintain sovereignty and independence, even in the face of overwhelming pressure. This special relationship is also reflected in the growing number of South Korean businesses and citizens choosing to live, work, and invest in Georgia. The low cost of living, along with favorable visa policies, make Georgia an attractive option for South Koreans looking to expand their reach in Europe and Asia. But it's not just about economics, it's about shared values. South Koreans bring their innovation, business acumen, and commitment to success, while Georgia offers a rich cultural heritage, a desire for progress, and a strategic location that can act as a gateway to both Europe and Asia. As this partnership deepens, it holds the potential for significant growth for both nations. South Korea, with its advanced technology and a robust economy, can help Georgia modernize its infrastructure, strengthen its industries, and attract global investment. In return, Georgia offers South Korea a strategic foothold in a region that is increasingly becoming a geopolitical hotspot. But the relationship between these two nations isn't just about mutual benefits. It's also about creating a model for international cooperation that values empathy, respect, and shared growth. In a world often defined by competition and conflict, South Korea and Georgia stand as examples of how two nations with very different histories can come together to build a future based on trust and mutual understanding. So, what can we learn from this extraordinary partnership? Perhaps it's that nations don't always need to look to the most powerful countries for guidance. Sometimes, the most valuable lessons come from those who have fought their way to independence, learned from their struggles, and are now using their success to help others rise with them. Could other countries, small and large, learn from the South Korea-Georgia model. The future will surely show us. But for now, one thing is clear. This partnership is more than just a geopolitical maneuver. It's a testament to the power of shared values and mutual respect. While the South Korea-Georgia relationship flourishes with promise and potential, it is not without its challenges. The complex geopolitical landscape surrounding Georgia, coupled with the uncertainties of its future, presents both risks and opportunities. South Korea, despite its success and growing global influence, cannot simply overlook the difficulties that Georgia faces as it navigates its position between two great powers, Russia to the north and the expanding influence of Western nations to the west. For Georgia, survival is a top priority, and every decision, whether diplomatic, economic, or military, carries weight. The Russian occupation of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, as well as ongoing tensions with Moscow, are a constant source of anxiety. Despite the global community's largely non-recognition of these regions as independent, Georgia's territorial integrity remains in question. This unresolved conflict puts Georgia in a precarious position, making any misstep potentially catastrophic. While NATO and the European Union have been reluctant to fully embrace Georgia, fearing Russia's retaliation, Georgia's hopes of securing a place in these institutions remain high. However, the path to NATO membership in particular is fraught with difficulty. Russia sees Georgia's NATO aspirations as a direct challenge to its sphere of influence, and the risks of such a move could spark further escalation in the region. Yet, despite these challenges, Georgia sees its partnership with South Korea as an opportunity, one that could help it secure its place in the global community and strengthen its national defense. South Korea, with its remarkable ability to balance relations with both North Korea and the West, serves as a perfect example of how to maintain sovereignty in a difficult geopolitical environment. South Korea's strategic alliances and its ability to navigate complex relationships have allowed it to rise to the top of the global stage, and Georgia believes it can learn valuable lessons from South Korea's experience. Georgia's role as a strategic partner for South Korea extends beyond mere trade or diplomatic cooperation. It is a vital lifeline for the survival of both nations. South Korea has become an economic powerhouse, and Georgia wants to tap into that strength. By strengthening its relationship with South Korea, Georgia hopes to boost its own economy, attract investment, and enhance its defense capabilities. South Korea's technology, infrastructure expertise, and advanced industries could provide Georgia with the tools it needs to modernize its infrastructure, improve its military readiness, and build a more resilient economy. In return, Georgia offers South Korea a strategic foothold in the Caucasus, a region that holds immense geopolitical value. At the same time, South Korea must consider the risks of becoming too deeply involved with Georgia. While the relationship offers substantial opportunities, there are potential pitfalls. South Korea must balance its own relationships with the United States, Russia, and China, all of which have stakes in the region. Getting too involved in Georgia's geopolitical issues could draw South Korea into an increasingly volatile situation, and any misstep could lead to diplomatic fallout. Moreover, Georgia's internal political struggles and the unresolved tensions within its borders could present further challenges to the stability of the partnership. Despite these hurdles, the potential rewards of the South Korea-Georgia relationship are significant. Both nations have much to gain from their cooperation, not only in terms of economics, but also in fostering mutual understanding, respect, and shared values. As Georgia continues to strengthen its ties with South Korea, it is positioning itself as a valuable partner in a region that is crucial to global security and trade. The key to overcoming these challenges lies in the careful management of the relationship and an understanding of the broader geopolitical context. South Korea's balanced foreign policy, honed through decades of experience navigating complex international relations, provides Georgia with the model it needs to survive and thrive. For both countries, the relationship is an opportunity to learn, grow, and navigate the challenges of a rapidly changing world. Could the South Korea-Georgia partnership be the key to not only Georgia's survival but also to creating a model of global diplomacy in an increasingly divided world? Can two countries, each with their own set of challenges, work together to create a stronger, more resilient future? The answer lies in the strength of their cooperation and the vision they share for a better world. While the road ahead is not without obstacles, the potential for success is undeniable. As we look to the future, the question remains: what does the South Korea-Georgia relationship hold for both nations? Will this partnership be the catalyst for greater stability and prosperity for Georgia? Or will it become another fleeting moment in a world of shifting alliances? One thing is certain: the relationship between these two nations is far from ordinary. It's not just built on trade agreements or political interests, but on shared values, history, and a mutual desire to overcome adversity. For Georgia, the stakes are high. Positioned between the powerful forces of Russia and Turkey, it must navigate the geopolitical complexities of its environment. The future of Georgia lies in its ability to balance relations with its neighbors while forging strong partnerships with nations like South Korea, who have demonstrated the art of surviving and thriving despite external pressures. If Georgia can successfully learn from South Korea's experiences balancing diplomacy, building a robust economy, and strengthening its defense, it can secure its future as an independent, respected nation. For South Korea, this partnership is equally significant. While Georgia is a small nation, its strategic location in the Caucasus and its rising potential in sectors like technology, defense, and tourism make it an important ally. South Korea's engagement in Georgia not only offers economic opportunities, but also strengthens its position as a global leader in diplomacy. In a world where influence is often determined by strategic partnerships, South Korea's role in Georgia's growth could further cement its place on the world stage. But the future of this relationship is not guaranteed. The international landscape is volatile, and the risks of being drawn into Georgia's ongoing territorial disputes or political instability are real. South Korea must carefully manage its involvement, ensuring that its actions support both nations' long-term stability without overextending its influence. And Georgia, while grateful for South Korea's support, must continue to build its own capacity for self-reliance, ensuring that its future is not dependent on any single ally. So, where does this leave us? The South Korea-Georgia relationship stands as a testament to the power of international cooperation based on empathy, mutual respect, and shared experiences. In a world where alliances are often driven by self-interest, this partnership is a refreshing reminder that nations can choose to stand by one another because they understand each other's struggles and see the potential for a brighter future together. The real question is, will other countries take note of this remarkable bond? Could we see more small nations forming meaningful partnerships with rising powers, learning from each other's experiences and supporting one another in an increasingly interconnected world? The South Korea-Georgia partnership is just one example of what's possible when nations prioritize shared values and long-term cooperation over short-term gains. As we conclude, it's clear that the future of South Korea and Georgia, and their relationship, will be shaped by their ability to maintain trust, navigate challenges, and build upon the foundations they've laid. The world is watching, and the lessons learned from this unique partnership could very well set the stage for a new era in global diplomacy. The question now is, will other countries follow Georgia's lead, or will the South Korea-Georgia model remain a rare exception in international relations? Only time will tell, but the strength of this partnership is undeniable, and its future is one worth watching.